We're here with Robynn Murray from Iraq Veterans Against the War. Robynn, tell us what you did in the military. What branch were you in? Where did you serve?
I joined the military at age 18. I joined the reserves. When I actually joined the Army, I was a non-contracted ROTC cadet. And my intention with joining the reserves was basically just to get a good grasp on military life before I wanted to become an officer. So what happened was I went to the recruiter and he's like, oh yeah, we'll put you in the reserves. College will be your first priority. No big deal. Your unit already got deployed. You should be safe for a couple of years. Well, I enlisted. I went to basic training that following January of 2004. Went from basic training to AIT to a 2-month reservist training facility in Wisconsin, and then I went right to Iraq. And I landed in Iraq at the ripe old age of 19 years old, and my second day in theater, I became a machine gunner on a civil affairs team, and generally, I liked my mission in Iraq. I was a civil affairs specialist. We did a lot of humanitarian assistance, and we built clinics and schools and generally helped people, but really having that job at the same time as trying to be a machine gunner, and protecting yourself, it's a very hard thing to do. But that's kind of the basis. I don't know what else you want to ask.
Now you work kind of like public relations, talking to Iraqis, improving public relations between Iraqis and U.S. troops. Can you give some of your experiences and what things you were asked to do, what things you did, and how it went?
I remember one of the things that we did is after they held the first elections in Baghdad, our job the next day was to go out and poll people to see if they voted. And one of my jobs personally was to go out and talk to local leaders and say, hey, did your people vote? And a lot of them did. A lot of people participated in the election, which was really awesome. But one of the memories that I have of doing this job is, me as a 19-year-old female, I'm going and talking to these Iraqi men that, first of all, they don't want to talk to a woman. They don't want to talk to a young woman. But I'm trying to be professional. I'm talking to this man, and I have, my hand on an M4, and I have, a 9mm on my leg, and I'm trying to look mean, and I'm trying to look fierce. And one of my favorite little kids came up, and grabbed my hand, and she was just sitting there holding my hand when I have, an M4 strapped on my chest. It really, when I got home and thought about a lot of the stuff that happened, a lot of stuff that little kids witness over there, I was just flabbergasted.
What things made you start questioning what was happening in Iraq? Were you against the war before you went in, or did you turn while you were there?
I was already against the war. I honestly didn't think it would last as long as it has, and when it came time for me to enlist, I figured I wanted to do it so no one else would have to, if that makes any sense. But I thought that since I had a good head on my shoulders and since I was anti-war and I knew I would, never hurt anybody that didn't deserve it, I figured I was an asset and a good soldier to have because, I don't blindly follow orders, and I never did.
While you were traveling through the streets, talking with Iraqis, how did they react, and how did that change over time?
A lot of the women, being a female on a team, and especially being a female in a gunner's turret, a lot of the women were really excited to see me. And I remember during a deployment that I was at in Africa, in Djibouti, we walked into a village and we're, assessing their water system, and I'm like, why is everyone staring at me? And then it hit me, and I asked my interpreter, I'm like, would you ask these gentlemen if I'm the first female soldier they've ever seen? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you're the first woman in uniform they've ever seen. But it's empowering sometimes to see that, even though we still don't have equality in the military.
And the Iraqis that you were talking to about public relations, about what the United States was doing, how did they react when you came up to them and asked them, what can we do to improve your situation? What kind of things did they ask you, and what could you offer them?
We used to go to district advisory council meetings, and we would go and we would sit on the the Iraqis government meetings and listen to what they were working on with each other. And when it comes to picking projects, like a lot of it, building women's centers, teaching women how to sew, using clean water, and a lot of the people received us very well. My team personally, because they knew that after a while they started to know the patch on our shoulder, and they started to know, like, hey, these people are here to help us. I've seen other soldiers that were not on my team just treat people like crap and throw water bottles at little kids, and I never did it. I don't like it. They're human. Like, people are human no matter what race or nationality they are.
Did you feel that kind of behavior was encouraged at all, or was it disciplined? How did the military, the commanding officers, react to soldiers who would do things like throwing water bottles?
A lot of it, since it was really, you're in a situation where anyone could really hurt you at any time, and it's like you never knew who was your friend, and people would call the local people, like the term was Haji, like, oh, I'm going to go in my Haji movement, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And the people that I worked with, I was lucky enough to have a good leadership, have really strong NCO that was very open-minded, excellent guy. I had an excellent team chief, but we would go and work with some of like the line units where you have infantry soldiers, and they're just like, I don't like where I am, I don't like what I'm doing, I'm getting shot at, so I'm going to take it out on these people, and I'm going to pay 2 kids to fight in the street. Ridiculousness.
Why did you come up here this weekend?
This is actually my second big event with IVAW. I joined Rochester IVAW back in October, but in the recent months I've been started to become active, and this will only be the second time in my life that I've publicly spoke out against war and been part of IVAW. So I'm excited.